It's a beautiful river. In fact, OYO is the pioneer's interpretation of a native term, OYO, which meant beautiful river. And I've always liked that, and it is beautiful. I really like working along the Ohio.
I'm a student at the University of Louisville. I'm an honors scholar, and as an honors scholar, I took the honors seminar Triumph at the Falls. And this seminar focused on the Ohio River, what it brings to the area, its history, and where it is now and the future developments.
I think we're really seeing a fundamental shift, in my view, particularly among the younger generation, to viewing the river, viewing our environment as something that we all have an interest in, that is something to be protected, not something to simply be used and used up.
It's a symbol of life. The Ohio River is a symbol of life.
One of the odd things about the Ohio, because it's so big, I think people have the perception of the Ohio, it's always been here. The Ohio is really one of the youngest rivers in North America.
The Ohio is a super fun site in most areas around it, industrialized cities, because of a very American reason. We don't regulate in this country. We really let business regulate itself. We really do.
It's a beautiful living place, but it's also a question mark. Because what has become very clear to me is that we've turned the Ohio River from a natural river into a machine.
So it's in human nature to sort of mess with Mother Nature. Humans tend to try to control a lot of aspects of their environment. We're ecosystem engineers, essentially. I don't know that the message is necessarily don't manage. I think the message is be careful about how you manage.
The United States has a very adversarial approach to nature and to rivers in particular.
The EPA just came out a couple months ago with levels for PFOA and PFOS, two of the legacy chemicals that were below the detection limit, which basically means no level is safe. And so these companies cannot tell you that anymore. They cannot say that 5 parts per trillion is safe. The EPA has said that a level that is not even detectable by science right now is unsafe.
We're defining it differently, not just exclusively industrial. We're seeing some of the aesthetic qualities of it. We're seeing some of the recreational qualities of it and so forth. Taking a journey like the one that was organized by the Ohio River Way, that really helps emphasize that. I mean, it really, in some ways, it allows you to see things from the river's point of view, you know, and that's extremely powerful.
And it's just a smorgasbord of life. In a canoe or a kayak, down at water level, you have nature literally all the way around you, and it's something spectacular to behold.
We have a beautiful view of the river. It's non-obstructed. You can take a walk down Riverside Drive, and the Ohio River is right there in front of you.
And it becomes very clear that the river is used by many different people, kind of all at once. It's a contested space.
Historically, the Ohio River contained about 160 species of fish.
All the animals and fauna and flora around and in the Ohio River have value in themselves as just being part of creation itself.
The Ohio River is prime real estate, right, for all sorts of industrial activities.
The Ohio River is a very important economic superhighway, interstate, so to speak, for the commerce of the United States. I work with the river. Mother Nature is always in control, and I do the best that I can in this give and take relationship to keep that infrastructure and the commodities moving up and down the river. It's a vital artery to the United States economy.
You adapt and learn as you go, and hopefully the longer you do it, the better you get at it.
the people that really love the river, working out here on the locks and dams, that's a way of life.
Compared to the roads, which most Americans drive 11,000 miles on a year, the rivers are really almost invisible. Most Americans have very little interaction with the rivers. Even people that live beside the river, they know there's a barge here and there, but they don't really understand where the barge is coming from, where it's going, what it's carrying. The American economy would be unimaginable without river traffic.
So the Ohio River is a very large river and isn't something that we're probably going to do major stream restorations on anytime soon. But we can look at the contributing water to the Ohio to help reduce impacts to improve water quality in the Ohio.
I teach classes related to water resources, essentially how non-point source pollutants transport through a watershed, how that can impact water quality, as well as how can that impact ecosystems.
And so when I'm talking to people about how our waterways are connected, everything is connected. So anything that's happening in your headwaters and the tops of the rivers, moving all the way down, it's gonna push its way all the way to the Ohio, and then from the Ohio to the Mississippi. In the news, there's a lot of talk about the hypoxic zone in the Gulf of Mexico, right where the Mississippi dumps in. And it's a dead zone that's, they say as big as the size of Texas.
The Ohio River is an ecosystem, which means we study the habitat, we study the chemistry, and we study the biology of that area. Developing a sense of ethics to do things that are right, not simply because of the value one can provide or some entity can provide, is often the most powerful argument one can make.
The river doesn't have its own voice. We like the Ohio River Way because it encourages all sorts of thoughts about the different ways you could engage with the water and the river.
And so it was this contradiction that I think early America was, and indeed America is today, of beauty mixing with commerce, beauty mixing with human greed to create the next industry.
Well, there are some problems with the Ohio River, but this is the way I see it. You can't live life without problems. It's all in how you respond to the problems. So this is what we have to do. If we are who we say we are, if we put a man on the moon, then we can clean up the Ohio River. We just have to have the will and the desire to do what's right for the greater good.
I really like to kayak or even swim in the Ohio River. It's a lot of fun, and I think a lot of people don't realize how pretty it is.
These are just some of the people that will help tell our story about the Ohio River. In exploring life, death, and rebirth along the Ohio, we will consider its natural beauty, the unnatural pollution that plagues it, and the variety of ways that we might embrace this most precious asset.